End of countdown, and here we are.
Evening.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Craig and Jane show. Most of you come here regularly, but this is where Jane and I, husband and wife, psychic couple, we share our thoughts, we share our ideas with you, we ask you for your questions, your input, and we talk about all things paranormal, and particularly I think sometimes with a bit more of a kind of a topical view sometimes, about spirituality generally, where the world's going, this sort of thing, what can we do to change things? So, heated, hopefully, sometimes, bit controversial sometimes, and also, I hope, informative and helps to teach a little bit as well. Don't you think? Yeah. So if you say a few hellos, I see some of you are coming in. We'll just say hello to a few of you.
Hi from Australia. Okay. Devin. Hello, Craig, Jane, and everyone from Liverpool.
Australia and Liverpool. Yeah, great. We weren't here last week because we had the fireworks.
Yeah. Bill, hello. Catching you live tonight from... Where's she from?
Where's from? Yeah, that's okay. Fotheringham, I reckon.
Stacey, hello from Missouri. And Schling Woodley, hi from South Africa. Gosh.
Right, nice to see you guys. And hello from New Jersey, the USA. So we've got people again all around the world, all at once. And I think all with similar problems too, haven't we, around the world? Everybody's got the same kind of issues that are brewing in the background. From Tipperary.
Oh.
That's a long way to get there, It is. It's quite a distance. It must
Very
be.
funny.
Long way from everywhere. Yeah. So we're not quite sure what we're going to talk about today, but actually when we were coming up in the car, we were sort of fretting, really, I suppose, about what the world's like now, about the fact that everything in the world seems to be divisive, doesn't it? And we were wondering, why is it like that? Like, you think about it, everything, there's no kind of grey in the world now. It's always black and white. You think about politics all around the world. Politics is totally divisive. You've got division in American politics. We've got exactly the same here in the UK. You've got Italian politics that are getting divisive. You've recently had it in Holland, in Sweden, French divisive. I mean, you name it. Politically, everywhere seems to be very much two extremes. And similarly, even within normal sort of society, everybody seems to have one view or another. Like gender can become a divisive thing, can't it? I'm this, I'm that. I identify with this or I identify with that. It's like me and you. It's like separate all the time, isn't it? It's like I'm this, but you're that. Even in spirituality, I'm enlightened, you're not. That type of attitude people get. And even more so, right at the moment with tomorrow, we've got divisions between religious division and racial division and the us and them idea of immigration. So why are we getting like that? Why is it the world has become like that? It's become a point, I think, where I can hardly recognize the world. I can hardly recognize the world from when I was a child or as a teenager or even for most of my life, actually. But it seems that in just recent years, not just the advent of the internet, but particularly I think the advent of social media, the whole of the way we look at the world has completely and utterly changed to the point that it's become scary. I think it's become scary because of the division of people. This and what is it? What do you think, Jane, it is that's creating this almost unique period in history where everything is so separate?
Well, people aren't settled, are they? People have got materialistic, they've got greedy, they're searching. It's all about, I'm better than you and you shouldn't speak to me like this. I mean, with no communities anymore, and talking about villages and things.
Well, we were chatting about that, weren't we? About there's no community, no real community. What we've got is an artificial community. Right, we've got a little community here around this YouTube channel and you'll chat in the comments and that's fabulous. But it's not a real community, isn't it? It's not where we could meet each other on the street and say, oh, hello. You might say, oh, hello, Craig and Jane, because you know us because we're on the screen. But all the people that are joining here, we want to be friends, but, we don't have that sort of tactileness, as it were, of a real community where you can sit down and have a chat with your friends, and it is quite difficult. And then the other thing I think's doing it personally is this whole idea of kind of social media, and particularly.
Say thank you, Craig.
Yep, thanks for that. Good on you. Keep it coming. But the whole idea that I've lost it now. Money took it away.
Did you ever have it to start with?
But what we see now, we're all on screens all day long, aren't we? We're always on the screens, and we're looking at these screens, and we're being fed stuff all the time.
Brainwashed.
Brainwashed, but it's all about me, right? So if I'm interested in something, right, let's take something mild, Minecraft. I don't play Minecraft, but supposing I like playing Minecraft. All the ads that start popping up are Minecraft. All the things I start to see on Amazon and anywhere else is all going to be adverts for things about that topic. Everything, the videos that I might see on YouTube are going to be popping up with Minecraft things. So everywhere I'm going, it's reinforcing to me that Minecraft is the only game to have. It's a marvelous thing. That's the right thing in the world, right? So just to extend that a bit further, and it's just about any topic that you can think of that you're interested in, that you might type in, whether it might be something you might type in about political things, whether it might be the type of movies you might watch. This algorithm, which is now morphed into artificial intelligence,
that's right,
is feeding us stuff to always reinforce my views. It's reinforcing what my beliefs are. I think, whatever it might be. I think the French are terrible people, right? Okay. So it'll reinforce that all the time. French are terrible. They're not, but obviously, but it will reinforce whatever deluded view I have, or whatever view I have, whether it's deluded or not. It's just always saying that I'm right. It's telling me I'm right, and we'll sell you something. I'm right. So everybody they all think that they're the center of the universe, don't they? All of us get trapped into this idea that we think we're always right, and we get this sense of entitlement too. We think that everybody should conform to our ideas. Hence, division.
I see that as weakness, actually.
To
me, it's weakness. You've got to have a mind of your own and your own consciousness. Otherwise, you're all being controlled by machines and taking all the information. And it's like, where's the information going to?
Yeah, and who's behind it?
Dangerous. Is it China? Is it Russia?
Well, it's all of it. You see, anybody that's any position of power, or anyone that has the control, it's like, it's like politics. Like Stalin said, he brilliant man. He said, it's not the votes that count. It's who counts the votes that count, right? And it's the same with the whole of society, isn't it? That same kind of principle is behind everything. It's not the algorithm that counts, or what throws the algorithm throws up. They don't give a damn about whether this destroys society. They don't give a damn if it destroys young minds and kids and all the rest of it. They don't give a damn about it. They just want to make sure we make some profit out of it.
Children,
or we get political power.
Children now, education's important, but they're relying on artificial intelligence. So they're not really thinking for themselves, are they?
Yeah, it should really be called artificial unintelligence, I think, really, because, isn't it, really, the kids coming out of school and going into school, they've done lots of surveys and things about this, but their IQ rates are dropping.
Sad.
They're dropping. And why is the general IQ around the Western world dropping? Is because we are all becoming dependent on the easy route of AI and things like that. If I want to know something, I look it up on Wikipedia. I won't even need to do that now. I can go and ask Alexa it. Or I can just instantly get whatever I want. And artificial intelligence will write my letters for me. It's brilliant what it does. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I've been trying out, like I've mentioned yesterday when I was interviewing Marina and that, was doing things such as using Photoshop, and I've been using it again today. And I'm absolutely staggered at the level of work it can do with just a text command. Things that would have cost me when I used to have an advertising agency up here in Winchester. I'd have had someone do a retouching job on a photograph or something like that for a product when I was doing advertising and things. And weeks of work done in literally 2 minutes, not even that, you know. Yeah, so it's changing everything, you know. Like I was talking to Marina yesterday. I haven't watched the video yet on that one, but we were talking about all what's going on in America with all the actors on strike and having their identities stolen. But this is another thing that I think is damaging spiritually to everything, isn't it? That our identity now is even questioned, you know, and that identity can be actually used. And
you can make a robot of you, couldn't they?
Well, possibility,
yeah,
you know,
and
clone
you wouldn't
us.
know who's right or who's wrong.
We know how to clone people. We know how to mimic people. We can make up fake Craig and James show, you know. Children's attention span is getting shorter due to social media. Would you agree with that, Jake?
Yes.
Yeah, just yes.
Definitely agree with that. I mean, when you think as a child, you really had to think and you had to go home and do your homework, didn't you?
You did,
otherwise you weren't allowed out to go to play.
Oh, God. Do you remember?
Yeah, and if you're studying for O-levels or A-levels, you really had to study, or like Craig, cram it in, didn't you?
Yeah, I've never in my life have I used logarithms. Never in my life have I done algebra. I still can't remember what an isosceles triangle is. You know?
Who uses algebra now?
I know, but all that, but it did teach you to think. It did teach you to think, and it taught you to retain knowledge. And out of all the stuff that I learned at school, I would say probably 10% of it was useful in life. But that 10% was very useful, you know. And a lot of the stuff, you know, like I say, I can't remember half the math stuff, but then I've not needed to use that. But if I'd done a different direction in my life, that would have been important, you know, studying a language like Latin or French.
Well,
and
if you know Latin,
useful if you actually need to go down.
If you know
that
Latin,
route.
then you can quickly pick up other languages. It's simple, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, particularly, but the thing is, large part of that information we learn at school is irrelevant, but the bit we do learn is important. But now the kids, like the guy says, or whoever it was, I can't remember what your name was now, but they've got a memory like a fish. You know, they can't retain anything, and it's not their fault because they don't. You know, like I was really good with mental arithmetic. I used to be able to, particularly an old Betty's. God, I sound so old.
You are.
But I mean, you know, we used to use, you know, base 12, which was, you know, 12 pence to a shilling and all the rest of it. But you had to add it all up in your head, and you were trying to add up, you know, 12s and 1 and 11s and all this, and you used to be able to do it like that. But my mental arithmetic now, I you know, 7 times 36. Well, I don't know, you know. But you used to be able to do it like a flash because we don't use our mind. We're not building pathways that can create the sort of intelligence we need for a modern age. So, you know, we become weak. That was calculators
That's what I
destroyed
said.
that.
It's weakness.
And but what's going to happen to humans? What are we going to end up with?
Robots.
We're going to end up like, you know, H.G. Wells's Time Machine.
1984. The last 2 decades have changed more rapidly than the previous 50 plus, it would seem.
I think the last 2 years.
Well, I think change is coming, but it's coming quicker than people can anticipate because they're trying to make it a cashless society. And I do worry about older people, really older people, that wouldn't know how to use these machines and go into places for the shopping, and it's got face recognition. Then you've got somebody that wants to check your receipt, and you're doing all the work for all these companies. It's so wrong.
I don't work for Sainsbury's. I make them put it through the cashless machine. But there's one old guy, we've gone through this before, haven't we? One old guy doing it, you know, and I think, and they're forcing you not to use cash really, because it's inconvenient putting cash into those scanning machines. You have to put all the pounds in and everything, which means without cash, we are in a very serious situation. Look what the way they cut off the money to Nigel Farage. He couldn't get around, he couldn't do anything, you know. And I'm glad to see in the news that the was it NatWest the woman didn't get her hundreds of millions of pounds or whatever it was.
Not Coots. Was it Coots Bank?
Coots Bank, yeah, it was Coots, which is owned by
Coots.
NatWest. That's it. But the head of it
Yeah.
didn't get a huge multi-million
The
pound
thing
bonus.
is, if you're paying by cash, you know exactly what you're spending. If you just put a card in, you don't think twice about it, do you?
No. And the thing is, though, if they can turn it off, if you turn off the money flow, if you take your card away, if you haven't got that credit card, you can't get transport, you can't buy food, you can't pay your bills, you can't do anything. If you haven't got a credit card, you're absolutely snookered. And cash, that people don't want it. It means they've got to pay someone to go down the bank and pay it into the bank account, you know?
It's wrong, isn't it?
I think we're in a very, very dangerous situation. That and artificial intelligence is causing the divisions.
Well, actually, where Sarah's saying meditation and yoga is the only answer to our problems. Every school and workplace should have. Well, the Indian children do yoga every day in school because they're taught that and brought up with yoga and meditation. And some of the schools, I believe the junior or infant schools, they let them, instead of doing prayers, they let them sit for what they call quiet time.
Yeah,
They're bringing
and
all
also
that in.
actually in India and China too, the education system is much more
Higher.
old-fashioned. It's less of the look it up on Wikipedia and look at your iPad while I go out the room for a while, you know, and leaving them lazy teaching. It's still person-to-person, community, environment type of teaching. You know, we will repeat our 10 times table, everybody do it now. You know, I mean, that is going to increase their intelligence level. And the intelligence level, I think, of Indian people and Chinese people far exceeds now, particularly in the young, those of us in the West, because we become, all of us, lazy. We've become mentally lazy. And yoga is actually bang on, I think, Sarah. I mean, I do yoga every day, and I do meditation, and I do all the other more detailed techniques of yoga. I mean, it definitely does, I think, make you much more mentally alert.
Well, I wish it would bring your prana energy up, Craig, at home. That's all I
What
can
you mean
say.
to do the housework? The housework energy kind of goes down the pan with yoga. It's all focused on the higher things.
Oh, yes.
Houseworking.
That's the get out clause, isn't it?
Yeah, so carrying water, they said, listening to the bell and
Frank,
carrying water.
if you think that AI will beat the spirit, then we are all lost. The new age will not happen. No, you're always going to retain your spirit and your soul, aren't you? They can't take that away from you. Because I often thought, as I said to Craig, will it be able to do clairvoyance or mediumship when we do actually have these robots and that? It'd be interesting if we could do tests like
But
that.
it couldn't do that, could it? Because it's not conscious. But it could do any rational work.
Or
Just like a calculator
predictions.
will add up numbers, but it hasn't the faintest idea what it's doing. It doesn't. It's not conscious that it's adding up numbers. It's just a function. It's a machine. And similarly, AI is at the moment certainly at that level. The danger, I think, is it makes us, you know, like she said about yoga's the answer, but it's not entirely actually, because we still need to use normal, rational type of thinking. We don't want to become not using our rational, because then we become very compliant and we can become very easily manipulated.
Slaves.
You know? Yeah, I remember.
Slaves.
Yeah, you know, I'll take away the head. Your head's gone, you know, but someone's going to put a
Slaves.
new one on there. The strong will come in and dominate the weak. That's why we need people to be intellectually savvy as well as spiritually awake. You know, it's important. The two things have to go together.
Right,
you know?
Sana says, but didn't our souls all agree to all that? What is happening in our world before our birth? We said, yes, I want to live through it. Our souls knew what it was doing. We should trust our souls. No, is she talking about reincarnation from past lives?
No, so I think what Sana's saying there is that when we come into, I think what she's saying is when we come into this world, we kind of make an agreement, perhaps with the universe, that this is what's going to happen, that we're going to take part in this game of life, this play of life, and something's going to work out, and this is going to be our karma, and we're going to suffer, and we're going to do this, and we're going to. I think there's a certain amount of that when we come
it's
into
like
the
a
world.
blueprint, isn't
Yeah, like
it?
a blueprint, yeah, or like our karma, how it's going to have to wind out in this world. And yeah, that's true. The spiritual does trump the intellectual, and it trumps the intellect and the reason and everything. The spirit is the highest of them all. but also, it's very easy also just to fall into the ignorance of just thinking that everything's material. And if the world is being manipulated by these dark forces, I think of them, if it's being manipulated to constantly drag us into the algorithm's desire, which is to sell us more stuff, which is the algorithm's desire is to make more money from us. It's the algorithm's desire is to basically entrap us and keep us slaves, to keep another group of people in their materialistic thing. It really is, in my opinion, this algorithm really is the mind of the Kali Yuga. It's the mind of the dark force, a pure materialistic thought. An algorithm with artificial intelligence is pure materialistic thought, without feeling, without desire, without sense of soul. It's the universe, almost not the universe, it's like the material element of existence, enslaving us and pulling us away from that spirituality, Sana, that you find so important. It pulls us back into the ignorance. So that's why in order to become aware of the soul and aware of the spirit, we have to have a massive effort in this life, because enlightenment and awakening don't come just of its own accord. Actually, it does.
To earn it.
But you have to work at first towards it. You have to work and do some sadhana. You have to find the Dharma. You have to find a way and break from the illusion of the material. And that won't come from complacency. It might come from just being and going into the state of pure being and bliss, yes. But first we have to break the binds that are tying us. We have to cut the cords. And cut the cords that are binding us is this material existence. We're not free from we're not free from fears. We're not free from material desires. We're not free from negative feelings. We're bound by many things that hold us into this life, and it takes effort to break that. But I think what's happening in the world, the divisive nature of it, is binding us and tying us all the time to the rock of life, so we can't reach the stars and reach the fire of Prometheus. We're being punished almost by this negativity that is now growing in the world. And that's why I think these last 2 years have been very, very dangerous.
Well, because we've got darkness around the planet at the moment, we're always going to have light that will put out the darkness. That's my belief. And because people are being fearful, there's going to be a third world war, and what's going to happen? Are these robots coming, or is there going to be some other life form that's going to attack us? Or fear not.
Well, that's absolutely right, isn't it, James? Because I mean, I'm kind of saying here, look, it's a darker world, and we've got to, first and foremost, we've got to be aware that these things are a trap to us. We've got to be aware that we are entering a period of time now where it could be very easy for all of us to fall into the darkness of ignorance, to be pulled into a darkness of ignorance. And this is when we really have to start looking to the light, to the spiritual side of ourselves, to the awakening. We've got to put more and more emphasis, I feel, onto our awakening as individuals, but also collectively. Because remember, the community's broken down. We need to sort of reach out to other people too. It needs to be a collective thing.
Compassionate. Now, Lydia, but when I remember the 80s in Europe, Germany, with the Cold War at the time, it was also terrifying not to know if we would all be blown up the atom bomb. I remember going on Order Master with Michael Foot, ban the bomb.
Yeah, he did a lot of good for the world, Michael
No, but
Foot.
I remember that. Even there, people were fear and everything. And so lots of things act as deterrents in this life, because I don't really think that people want the world to end. But it's all about control. Like this AI business, all about control again, isn't it?
Well, that's right. That happened then, in the 80s. That was exactly the same problem.
All about control.
People trying to take over everybody else. They want, the whole of societies. It used to be slavery. In Greece, ancient Greece was formed on slavery. Most Victorian society was a form of slavery for the workers in the factories and the chimney, the boys going up the chimneys, sweeps at 8 years old and 4 years old and things like that. I mean, it's always been one lot subduing another.
Yeah. It's like time reverses, doesn't it? Eventually we'll all go back to the Ice Age. I mean, Poppy Day, Saturday, and I think we've really got to remember those people in the First World War, Second, that died for us to have our freedom, if you like, in this country. And it seems like it's all taken away from us, doesn't it?
Well, again, this is another one of what I was starting at the beginning talking about, wasn't it? We were talking about divisions, you know, again, us and them, you know, and I personally, I think Islam is a dangerous as it stands at the moment. It needs desperate reform, because again, that's a religion that it has people that wants to kind of control groups of people, doesn't it? The mullahs and things want to control their people, just like most religions try to be a kind of a propaganda. All of them that have kind of an organised
And another
way.
thing, it's all about control. Years ago, if people didn't want to work, they wouldn't have it as a lifestyle like now. You had a thing called the labour exchange. You were offered 2 jobs. If you didn't take the second job, you didn't get any money. They should bring that back again.
Well, I think we do. The problem, half the problem we also have, is everything seems to want to be try to find a consensus of opinion all the time as well, you know. So that's also kind of don't work as well. People are scared to stand up and say if something's not right in the world. Like that Suella Braverman, for example. She stood up and said things.
People are for her, Craig, because she's speaking the truth.
Well, whether she's right or wrong, or some of the things she says, it's another one that seems to want to stand up and say something. And we should listen. We shouldn't cancel them. We might disagree with them completely, but we should then put a counter argument. And this is also a thing that where it's the division that I've been talking about is funny, really, because it's not in the it's a kind of a new form of division, really, because it's self-centered all the time. Everything we're doing is very self-centered. I'm right, you're, and everybody else is wrong, and that's what I think has come from this social media sort of thing. But it also seems this is almost, I don't know quite what the psychology, but it kind of denies anybody that actually has something to say. We seem to destroy anybody that stands up and wants to change the world and make the world a better place, or wants to contradict something that others have said. And we just get the leaders of the world are grey people. You know, Biden, grey. Rishi Sunak, grey. Half the European leaders, grey sort of people that have not really got, they're not speaking for people's fears like we talk about here. They're not talking for people's concerns about the breakdown of the society. They're not addressing serious issues like the falling apart of multiculturalism, the falling apart of the cashless society and the dangers that's going to cause, the dangers that AI bring into the world, the dumbing down of media, the corruption of the BBC and things. All these things are completely swept under the table, you know. And we can yap about it all we want here, but nobody does anything about it.
Widow says it's no wonder people are running to live off the grid. What do you think about? I think it's good if people have allotments and grow their own vegetables and things. Yeah,
well, when he says about that particularly, I think when you're off the grid, that's, you know, you don't want anything to do with, I'm not going to have a mobile phone, or I'm going to do everything by cash and things like that.
It's going back to the old ways, isn't it?
And some of the things I was talking about, some of my predictions, and one of the things I think is going to be in the world in times to come is there's going to be, I saw kind of like Tibet as an example, but I think there'll be more like this in the better age that I think will come eventually. I think there's going to be areas of the world that's going to be free completely of
ego villages.
It's going to be natural. Areas where you go, like a whole area like say Tibet or somewhere like that, might be other areas of beauty in South America and places like that, where people go into that area, you're not allowed to have or take any form of technology, because the world will be so forced down with technology that the spiritual side of ourselves won't be able to thrive. And I think people almost have times where they say they take months off because we won't have to work so much. AI is going to take the work, but where people can go and develop their mental capacities, for example, and their skills, their ability to concentrate, which comes from things like learning to meditate. First, you have to learn to focus on one-pointed concentration before you can even begin meditation. So it would teach us, I think, those things in a off-the-grid sort of society. Because I can't see, it's almost like parks that are away from the world where people can thrive again and be people.
It'd be great if we had one day meditation all around the world, that people can just not work, not listen to radios, televisions, and just concentrate on meditate.
Yeah, it's very hard to spend a day without using your mobile phone. I mean, I find it impossible. I'm obviously
You've got all children using them now.
yeah,
too.
everything all the time, isn't it? I mean, and I'm addicted as everybody else is. You know, you and me are sitting in a restaurant the other night. We're both on our phones out
Yeah,
in a
but
restaurant.
mine's taking emails.
But that is always an excuse. Me
No,
too.
no, in bookings.
You know, I'm approving comments or whatever. You know, but
Yours is different than mine.
you know, whatever all of us have some agenda that's tied away in these phones and things like that. You know. Yeah, so it's a tough world. What can people do to cope with the changes that are happening right now? It's a good question, isn't it?
Well, I suppose they'd be conditioned in one way. It's like being conditioned, isn't it? It's like some people get used to it and other people want it. And I think it's all about choice, isn't it?
I think first and foremost, you have to become aware
Yeah.
of that this is drawing your attention away, and become aware. It's like, you know, realizing that it might actually not be a bad idea to turn the TV off sometimes. You know,
Well, we
that's sort
do
of
that, don't we?
yeah.
Listen to music.
That's right. You kind of get sucked into things, and I always think, well, you know, on your own you can do a lot. I mean, I always every day I do yoga and meditation, but I'm lucky because I'm kind of I work from home, so but I find that if I can have even half an hour of that, it completely and totally restores me on a big level. And as a medium worker, you really do need that because your energy needs to build up. But everybody needs a certain amount of that. So I think you know, I encourage people to not when we say meditation, I don't just mean sort of sitting and thinking pretty thoughts of pictures and things, but do the actual concentration exercises. You know, which are many of them, and that can help to still the mind, train the mind, and actually gives you ultimately freedom from the mind itself. So that's important. And I think the other thing, which is hard to do now, but if we could, is actually physically meet people or even talk to people directly. Communicate on phones, not just on text messages.
Yeah.
And meet up. Because we were saying, like here at the studio, the studio here, you know, we've got a whole setup here where we could have groups of people come and join us for these shows. But it's really hard, you know, to gather enough people together that are prepared to come out and actually travel somewhere, because everybody's at home stuck on their phones and stuck on their computers, and nobody actually thinks, oh yeah, let's all go and meet up and do that and join in the show. You know, that's just one example, but it's everything. It's very hard to get people together nowadays. So perhaps one of the things we should all be thinking about doing is actually getting out and going round and meeting each other, rather than thinking that we can always do it by an odd text message. You know, it's like, you know, we live in this artificial world. It's like, if someone has a birthday now, it's send them a text message, happy birthday.
Yeah,
and all you're doing is responding to a
That's
reminder.
free, though. That's free, isn't it?
It's free, and you need to actually put effort in.
That's cheapskate.
Yeah. So I'm saying it's just, you need to put effort in.
What's a good thing? What we do?
Go and say happy birthday or do something, you know.
Yeah, 1 month what we do, do like a dinner party in our house, and the next month we'll do it in our friend's house or relative's house, and it works out quite nice.
Yeah, we've been getting into this 1960s
60s.
sort of vibe. Not all the 1960s stuff. They're into some pretty weird stuff. But I mean, the idea, you do dinner for us and we'll do dinner for you. And it's actually
nice,
really nice. And we're not saying, you know, dinner might be fish and chips, or dinner might be something simple. Well, I'm saying you don't make a big deal of it, but it's the getting together that I think everybody misses. You know,
nice,
and I think that's a nice way to live, you know. And I think that's one of the things we're all missing, and we don't realise we're missing it.
That's why I like Italy, because they make, you know, 3 or 4 hours family and children. I think that's a nice way.
Well, when we went to Altino and went up in the pepper festivals and
wonderful.
things, I mean, remember my brother saw the video of, he said, and the video's up there, I think I put it up on the channel here. So they don't have anything like that. Where all the people of the villages come together and you all have wine together and you sing and you said, God, we don't have that in this country. We don't have any of it.
I know.
You know,
it's all lost.
And we don't even have it between friends. You know, we're all stuck. We're all being pushed into this world of our own. We're all in our shells communicating to the world. Agility Bits. Some psychics say the world will be destroyed by higher forces if we don't look after it properly. What do you think of that?
Well, I don't think the world has looked after the planet properly, quite honestly, because they've been destroying it. I mean, we live sort of semi-countryside, and every plot of field and land has been built on, isn't it?
Well, it's not going to be countryside for long. It's going to be city.
Yeah.
But
and then you see higher sea levels, and we're wondering why we've got all these floods and freak conditions. It's all about greed again, isn't it? It's all
I don't know
about
what you
profit.
mean by higher forces.
Aliens.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, higher spiritual realms. I think nothing would want to destroy us because of our stupidity. I sometimes think the earth shakes and wants to almost shake us off, like when we get these earthquakes and and things like that, because it's almost as if the earth knows that we're not
knows.
really
She bleeds.
treating things correct.
As I say, Mother Earth goes through the menopausal stage.
What? Yeah, that's a good one. But it is, in a way, it's serious though, isn't it? Really, because I mean, people. I mean, you know, you can abuse things for so long, and then finally, it goes wrong on you.
Yeah,
you know?
It's bound to, isn't it?
I mean, we can abuse the environment the way we've been doing for years and years and years, and sooner or later we start saying, "Hey, we're getting freak winds. Hey, we're getting hurricanes. Oh, we're getting tsunamis. Or we're getting whatever."
But what happened in
Crazy weather.
On our olive grove? We had all those hailstones, didn't we? Destroyed all the olives.
Yeah, completely wrecked. All that area of Italy, all its olives were destroyed by a unprecedented fall of hailstones in southern Italy.
Biggest golf balls.
Madness, isn't it? So yeah, maybe, you know, it's like the universe itself, kind of what goes around comes around, doesn't it? You know, what you put out comes back. And perhaps, you know, we've been living in such a selfish world. And, you know, and I think this whole thing with, I've been trying to understand the psychology of the world, really. What is it in people's heads? And I think part of it's like this sort of the way social media is making us much more cocooned from the world. But I think it also makes us a lot more selfish naturally, because it's all about instant reward, isn't it? You know, like play games, it's instant reward. You want to order something, you want a takeaway, it's not here in 10 minutes, I'm feeling angry. You know, when some other people in the past might have gone ages without food for a long time. You know, so we'd have everything is instant gratification, and I think that creates selfishness. I hope all this chaos is a precursor for spiritual evolution in the long run, when kindness is valued. Yeah, I've said this a lot myself. I think, you know, much as, you know, we're moaning here today about the ills of society and things, but there's also the good side, isn't there? There's the side where there are, like a lot of the people watching this channel, you wouldn't have had anything like this in the 80s and the 60s and the 70s and so on, because these platforms and things of social media can be used to get you thinking, can be used to bring spiritual people together, you know, and can hopefully help to increase the spiritual awareness generally of all of us. And I think it's darkest before the dawn. Because I think we're going to go through another couple of years of real rotten times, actually. And then I think it breaks. Then I think there's going to be something happening. I've mentioned it before. I feel higher beings are coming into the world. I've talked about it in some of the videos, those dreams that you had of, like, I had of Sai Baba, and you had that dream of Vishnu, and all those incredible things that seem to be suggestive that, you know, there's something coming. There's something good coming. Healing's coming. Yeah. And I think, you know, okay, we've made a mess of it. And I think we're almost at some of the darkest levels of material thinking, as it were. I think AI is part of that. It's reflective of the nasty sort of rationalism, that rationalism that went through science, for example. It works. It's correct. It gives us a lot of benefits. But it's soulless. It doesn't allow for human heart. It doesn't allow for human consciousness. It's got a brutal way of viewing the world, isn't it? Rationalism. You can ask for more patrons. Yeah, and if once that rationalism takes over, then we're in the darker ages. Jane wants me to talk about the patrons.
So she who must be obeyed.
So yeah, if you're watching the channel, obviously we do appreciate those that support us here
Very
with
much
this.
so.
You know, that if we got the patron system. If you have a look in the on the description of this video, there's a link, and you can become a patron. We put little bits of extra content on there, and we try to put little bits on there extra. But the idea is, can you help to support the channel? Can you help to support what we're doing? Any money that goes to the patrons doesn't go to me and Jane. It goes to the foundation. This is a charitable foundation. Anything that's not used in it for can be put towards charitable acts. We've helped people have a heart operation. One of the people we helped, we've given cows to people, we've fed people in India, we've helped orphans and things like that. But that's not the main objective of it. The whole thing is really also that it helps keep this channel going primarily, and also we're hoping that we can start to put this together to build a spiritual center where we can bring people together face to face in a community and film it as well. So it's like this on a bigger scale, right? So, you know, your help helps us keep this going, but it also ultimately we hope will help us to be able to take our plans forward to do something on a much more of a grander scale and a real world scale. There we go.
Yes, all things are possible with kindness and love.
Now, I have forgotten. I've got a little video, haven't I?
Oh, let's see it, Craig.
Let's have a break and put that on.
Off you go.
This one was, I don't know, it's quite, you were shopping, weren't you? And I went round Wareham, which is down in Dorset. And I thought, just have a look round the old battlements and things. And
Yes, history.
just talk a little bit about some of the ghosts around there. So you can make a cup of tea if you don't like this stuff, or you can watch it, and then we'll have another chat afterwards. So let me better look where I am here. I'm going to put it on video file. Okay, so these are the ghosts of Wareham. Coming up in a minute, I hope. Yeah. Well, today we're in Wareham on the river here in Dorset, and this is a spot Jane and I come to quite a lot. We missed the market today. This is where the market normally is held, I believe. This is an old medieval town. I think there's some old walls down here somewhere. I'm going to see if I can find them. There should be a church around here, I think. Not being... There we are. Two Rivers Walk. And Two Rivers Walk the walls. Okay, it looks like we come to a church. That's quite a church, isn't it, for such a small little town in Dorset. I bet this is all mentioned in Thomas Hardy and things, I should think. Beautiful stained glass windows. Amazing. It says here about the font here is unique, and it's the only hexagonal lead font in existence for hexagonal children, I suppose. Cemeteries. There it is, found it. Quite a graveyard, isn't it? Church back there. Drop in for a chat, shall we? Of course, there's a few haunted places here in Wareham, they say. There's the old Odd Man's Hall, which is kind of like a cinema now, but that's supposed to see spooky things, but I don't know about this. But that sounds interesting for the walls. I think I'd rather see the walls. That would be more interesting, wouldn't it? I'd kind of like to get off the road. Suppose, does this go off the road? Yeah, this must be part of the old walls. Yeah, this is it. Looks like it's just a bank. Only these are supposed to be medieval walls. Oh, it covers the whole town. Good God, you can go right the way around it. Great fire started here, now Lloyd's Bank. Shatters Hill, Mount Pleasant, Bowling Green. So it's Saxon. They're older than medieval then. It goes right back to Saxon times. And that church we were at there, first site was 700 AD. 2 Saxon kings were buried here, but their remains were removed shortly after burial. King Boritic died in 802, and his body was taken to the newly found Tewkesbury Abbey. Well, fancy that. I think it's interesting just what you can find. We've driven through Wareham loads and loads of times and never really stopped. Jane's found a whole load of shops to engage her, little ones, you know, rummaging shops and unusual stuff. And I've got my walk. Is it lovely? One hell of a big city wall. I didn't expect this. Mind you, it's interesting. You're only going to see 10 minutes, of course, but I've been walking for quite a bit now, and it's interesting. It's just a sort of embankment type feel to it, but to think this goes right back to Saxon times, you know, knights in shining armour and all that. This is Two Rivers Walk as well, and I only know the name of one of the rivers, and that's the River Piddle. So I wonder if to take a piddle came from the River Piddle. Showing you about the noise of the traffic, but still quite a nice place. Real Dorset this is. Well, one hell of a battlements actually when you think about it. I've been walking for ages now, and you think they'd have had to defend all this. Some of it's very steep. I mean, quite high up now, and the town's high here, not too that high, but down there's quite a steep drop. So they were quite formidable battlements for their times, I guess. Yeah, I got it now. This is the way we came in and drove into the town. So it looks like the battlements continue over there. Let's have a look on the other side. I might not do the whole thing because there's quite a lot of walking involved. Might give us some more ways in. Oh, another old church or something. Full of churches. You know, people were so religious then. St Edward and King Martyr Catholic Church, another one, and one over there, and 2 or 3 up there. So from Valley Trail, Two Rivers Walk, and Wareham Common. Let's have a quick look, see what's up here. Terrible bloody traffic noise for somewhere so remote in a way, but anyway, it looks here, we've got the North Mill, so that must be down there, 1150. The River Piddle, I said it was, didn't I? The North Bridge. So that's built on around the time of the Norman Conquest. North Point, 1370. A small settlement that developed outside the North Gate, Wareham. And so then we've got St Martin's Church, which must have been that Catholic one we passed earlier. It would have been the North Gate of the town. So that would have been what we crossed over that zebra crossing, was the North Gate. And there was a huge fire here in 1762. And they sheltered in St Martin's Church. So that would have been there at the North Gate. And then we go on further down, it looks like we've got Wareham Common. Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it? Didn't know it existed. Well, there's a few stories of a place, old place like Wareham's Banner, a few ghost stories, isn't it? I'm just looking it up here on one of the sites. It says that the old bear, the bear, is supposed to be haunted. I remember seeing that. That's an old pub. It looks quite spooky. We went in it just opposite it, actually, because we were looking across to that. Should have gone in the bear, shouldn't we? And the Rex Cinema, that's the Oddfellows place, it said on the top of it, is supposed to be haunted as well. It's supposed to have 3 ghosts there, and doesn't say what's in the bear. It's now a boutique hotel. And St Martin's Church, is that the one we went in? Oh, that's supposed to have all sorts of weird stuff. So I wonder if there's anything on that footage when I went through there. And what's this about the Elephant Man? Okay, there was some historic link here with the Elephant Man. You remember the movie The Elephant Man? Frederick, born in Dorchester in 1853, was a prominent British surgeon and as well as an author. He credited with saving the life of King Edward the VII in 1902, and also for his well-known friendship with Joseph Merrick. My name's Joseph Merrick, also known as the Elephant Man, right? And he was here with, you know, remember his deformities and things. So he would have been here as well. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder if the ghost of the Elephant Man could be here. Well, also checking out some of these stories of ghost stories. In 1678, apparently, there was the town was supposed to have been stormed by a ghost army, sort of an army of the dead. And it's all recorded in the parish records. So God knows what was going on then. What would have got people to think that there's a ghost army attacking the town? And to have gotten to such an extent that they put it in the parish records. And that's supposed to be on these walls. These walls defended even against the ghosts of Wareham. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Wow. I bet it's spooky here at night. There you are. Nice spot though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Beautiful
it's nice.
here.
It's
Yeah.
a bit chilly now.
Eh?
It's a bit cold. When the sun goes in, it was quite cold.
Yeah, I went all around the walls. Did a sort of ghost photo bond. Did a talk about the ghost walks all around there and everything.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a phantom army of ghosts that's supposed to have sort of stormed the walls here.
Oh, really?
I thought, yeah, I found out, and it's really interesting. It's
Storm, he must have been the landlord that served us.
all right, Doc. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, thank you.
Good. That's all right. Did you do the sword swallowing? No. Oh, you didn't do that.
What's that?
No. I see they've got boat trips over there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
James
said
said that.
that'd be
Yeah.
nice to
Shall
do
we
that
go
one
on the
day.
boat?
We can't.
We
we're
could
not
go on
doing
the
that.
boat.
We will do another time.
Yeah.
Go along the river. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
We've got an hour before car parking.
All what?
If you get a drink, then you take cards.
How many cards?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm puffed out. That's quite a long walk actually because I paced it. But it's interesting. Miles of walls, but they're all kind of green banks, really.
Seems
Where was that? Over that way?
Down up there,
Oh,
all
I
around, and
Oh, right, we worked.
this is the River Piddle, isn't it?
Eh?
This is the River Piddle.
We need that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other one. It's the River Slash on the other side.
Oh, gosh. We'll call that.
And back to
there you go.
reality, Craig.
An army of ghosts.
Cheers.
An army of ghosts. I wasn't sure whether to put that one up or not, but I think they're quite fun for people sometimes. I think it's important. Another thing I think that actually was people are asking about how can we counter some of all this sort of way we think.
Well,
I think
keep things
actually getting
simple.
out and walking.
Yeah, and do the simple
Actually.
things in life, like you say, walking.
Yeah,
And sharing, and like
the
sharing
real
meals
world is
and,
kind of
interacting with
quite a
each
good
other.
place
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. With so much division going on, and I do worry about what's going on in people's heads nowadays, and wonder what's going to happen tomorrow with all those armistice marches and things like that. Those type of things. I don't think that tomorrow
Well,
will turn
I was
bad, but I
Prime
think they
Minister,
might do in the
If I
future.
was Prime Minister and they said they've got the police and he's going to put an extra 1,000 Metropolitan Police, I'd bring in the army. I wouldn't have any
The
nonsense.
police dare not let it go wrong, because otherwise they're going to be blamed. Because
Yeah, well, I'd bring
Rishi
the army-
Sunak said
bring
to
the
them, it's
army
on
in.
your head. And
Yeah,
then
but that's passing the buck.
yeah, and they've used it also as a way to have an attack at Suella Braverman because she nagged at she went on about the police and things like that. So they got to get it right to prove everybody wrong. It'll be an interesting,
Might not be as
interesting
bad
day,
as
I
people
think,
think,
ahead. But yeah, so there we go. Ghosts. We're coming to the end of the show soon, I think. How long have we got? Oh, we've got 5 more minutes or so before we close up. So, any last final thoughts or questions, guys, that you'd like to share with us?
There's one.
Did Nostradamus say anything about AI? That's
Oh,
an
you wouldn't have
interesting
known
thought.
about that. in
Well,
that time. I don't think he would have, Craig, because anybody can make things fit from the Bible and also from Nostradamus. How could he possibly know about AI?
But the Nardi oracles knew about.
Yes, but we're talking about Nostradamus.
Yeah, but I'm saying the Nardi oracles knew about. It describes in there, thinking they're thousands of years old, and it describes machines of light, which and
Aeroplanes.
it talks about which we can interpret as computers. It talks about flying aeroplanes,
It's
and it
aeroplanes.
talks about long wagons with many wheels that run on rails. It was talking about trains. So some of it's there, but I'm not sure about Nostradamus. I mean, I am not a huge expert on Nostradamus, and many of the interpretations you read, because most of its interpretation suggests one thing or another. But I've not thought I can't. Be worth having a good look at it and have another look and
I
see if
don't
there's anything
see how
in
you
there.
could possibly have said about robots and artificial intelligence.
Well, you
I
never
mean,
know the
great
way it's
artist,
worded.
was it Leonard da Vinci that saw like he'd done like an aeroplane, birds with wings, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't
ahead
think
of the
any of us
time.
really saw AI coming quite
No.
so quickly. You know, it's in the science
I mean, you
fiction
see all these science
stuff,
fiction
but
films and that, because I can remember as a little girl, I think, I want to live to it's the year 2000, we're going to all fly in the sky, cars. Because
Yeah.
it don't happen, did it?
no, but now it has though. It's happening very fast.
What, with cars flying in the sky?
Well, I think artificial intelligence is the hugest
They're gonna,
revolution we've
those
ever had.
cars that you don't have to drive and sit in there like Johnny cars.
Yeah, well, all sorts of things will be done for us, including cars driving, because the capabilities of it are astronomical, and it will make us all lazy. But it could also mean the end of work as we know it. Maybe on the good side, perhaps it could create for us a world where all the mundane work is done, whether that mundane work be surgery or development
You've got robots
of
doing surgery already, Craig.
or whatever, you name it, even acting. Maybe it just mean that the rest of us have got more time. And what
perhaps
do we
us
use that
women
time
don't
for?
need men because we've got male robots.
And yet, they still haven't invented a thing that would do the ironing for you. They still have. So there's hope yet. There's hope yet for the real world.
Hallelujah. Bring it on.
Okay, so I think we're coming to the end now. So thanks for joining us on the show today. Don't forget, have another look if you can, about the idea of being a patron at the end of this. Give us a thumbs up when it's finished as well, please, because it helps the algorithm, as we've been talking about, to push the videos up higher and makes more people to view our shows if you like it. And we'll be seeing you soon.
Yes.
So
Arrivederci.
okay,
Bye.
bye for now.